5 men, 1 skiff, a rusted outboard engine coughing black smoke across the blue stretch of the Gulf of Aden. Their eyes locked on a target, a chemical tanker called MV Central Park, hauling 20,000 tons of phosphoric acid. They had no idea what was watching them. Over 1,500 nautical miles away, a U.S. Navy destroyer, USS Mason, was already moving. For the past 2 hours, American satellites had tracked the skiff's exact trajectory. From launch to the moment they pulled up alongside the tanker, everything was recorded, not by a drone, not by radar, but by a full-spectrum surveillance web that spanned the entire ocean. The pirates weren't amateurs. They accelerated hard, AK-47s drawn. One man aimed a grenade launcher at the bridge. Another scaled a ladder. The ship's crew, trained for moments like this, locked themselves in the Citadel, an armored safe room deep in the hull. But the pirates had no intention of leaving without a fight. That's when the call came in. Central Park under pirate attack, immediate threat, U.S. nationals on board. No questions, no delay. The USS Mason went full speed. What the pirates didn't know was this. The Mason wasn't just another patrol ship. It was a floating war machine, an 8,300-ton beast armed with a combat system so advanced it could detect a kayak-sized object from 50 miles out and still track a ballistic missile at the same time. But even that wasn't the most dangerous thing on board. High above the ocean, an MH-60R Seahawk helicopter launched from the Mason's deck, blades slicing air like a chainsaw through fog. The pirate skiff didn't see it until it was too late. Infrared sensors locked onto 5 glowing heat signatures. A warning burst from a 50 cal machine gun struck the water just ahead of their hull. A geyser of white foam shot upward. The pirates froze. One man threw down his weapon. Another panicked and reached for the throttle. That was the moment everything changed. The USS Mason didn't just arrive, it claimed the ocean. As the pirates stalled in the water, stunned by warning shots from the Seahawk overhead, the Mason surged through the sea like a predator. The crew was already in position. No panic, no yelling. Just exact movements drilled through months of high-threat readiness. Inside the Combat Information Center, a wall of glowing radar screens lit up. One operator called out, "Target vessel acquired. Small craft stationary. Boarding protocol green." Commander Justin Smith nodded once. "Deploy the team." From the helicopter bay, the VBSS unit, visit, board, search, and seizure, geared up fast. These weren't regular sailors. These were close-quarters combat specialists, trained in ship takedowns, urban assault, and live hostage scenarios. Kevlar, ballistic helmets, level 4 armor, M4 rifles, Sig Sauer pistols, stun grenades. They loaded into the Seahawk like it was second nature. As the rotors accelerated, the aircraft lifted over the ocean, fast and low. The skiff below still floated dead in the water. 5 pirates, visibly armed, no radio signals coming out. But the Mason's electronic warfare team was listening. All pirate communications jammed. They were isolated. From the sky, the Seahawk banked hard, came around, and dropped the boarding team just 20 meters off target. They hit the deck and moved fast, clean, tight, silent. Weapons high. The skiff was surrounded in seconds. The pirates blinked into laser sights. No resistance. They were zip-tied, disarmed, and dragged aboard the Mason without a single shot fired. But while the team secured the captured vessel and swept for explosives, something unexpected happened. An alert lit up the Mason's primary radar feed. Not surface traffic, not aerial drone movement. Missile trajectories. 2 inbound targets had launched from Yemeni territory, fast and erratic. The readout didn't lie. Ballistic missiles, launched by Iran-backed Houthi militias. They weren't aimed at Central Park. They were headed straight for the USS Mason. Commander Smith stood frozen for a second. Then he said one word: engage. 2 red lines streaked across the radar scope like slashes from a knife. The Aegis combat system on the USS Mason kicked into overdrive. Alarms didn't wail. There was no panic, Just a calm voice over the intercom. Ballistic missiles detected. Impact trajectory, 10 nautical miles. Estimated time, 110 seconds. These were anti-ship missiles, long-range weapons launched from Houthi-controlled Yemen, and they weren't part of a random attack. Intelligence analysts would later confirm it. The pirates' capture triggered a coordinated response. Somali criminals on the sea, Iranian proxies on the land. A hybrid strike, and the USS Mason was caught dead center. Commander Smith stood at the bridge, watching the digital horizon close in. "Stand by SM-2 interceptors," he ordered. "Set radar to high-def pulse mode. Priority, aerial track only." He had less than 2 minutes to make a choice. Fire 1.5 million interceptors and risk escalation, or gamble they'd miss on their own. But this wasn't a bluffing game. Deep in the Mason's hull, 2 Mark 41 vertical launch system silos opened, revealing sleek white SM-2 Block 4 missiles designed to destroy incoming threats mid-flight. "Target locked," the system chimed. "Intercept solution confirmed." Fire. 2 streaks of flame shot from the deck. The ship shook. The missiles arced into the sky at Mach 3, climbing, tracking, adjusting in real time. Halfway through flight, they detonated near their targets. 2 bursts of white light. A distant thunder. Silence followed. Then a call came in. Missiles neutralized. No impact detected. The Mason didn't just dodge death, it erased it. But something had changed. This was no longer just piracy. This was asymmetric warfare in motion. Pirates working alongside missile-launching militias. And now, US ships weren't just intercepting speedboats. They were standing between global trade routes and ballistic weapons. Even as the Mason secured prisoners and the Central Park's crew re-emerged safely, intel analysts were already piecing together what this meant. There was a pattern, one that went deeper than the Indian Ocean. And somewhere off the Somali coast, another ship had just vanished from radar. 10 years ago, Somali pirates were little more than desperate fishermen with AK-47s and skiffs made from scrap. Their targets were soft, their motivations simple: money, food, escape. But after years of getting hunted by the world's most powerful navies, they adapted. Fast. What was once a ragtag operation has become a networked war machine. The new breed of pirate doesn't just sail. They coordinate, encrypt, disguise, and strike with military precision. After the MV Central Park incident, American analysts combed through the data. What they found was chilling. The skiff that attacked the tanker had launched from a mothership disguised as a commercial fishing boat. Its AIS tracker spoofed, its flag falsified. Hours before the hijack, a civilian drone had flown over the area, scanning for ship traffic. And when the pirates boarded, they used signal jammers to cut the crew off from outside help. This wasn't a random ambush. It was a planned, multi-device assault. And it wasn't just local. It was being fed from the outside. Intercepted communications linked the operation to Houthi intel cells in Yemen, backed by Iranian logistics. This wasn't ideology. It was a deal. Pirates gave the Houthis access to smuggling routes. The Houthis gave the pirates weapons, comms gear, and targeting information. It worked like a shadow network. No uniforms, no flags, just encrypted messages and black market money flowing between rebel enclaves and pirate dens. And the ocean? It had become their staging ground. To the untrained eye, these pirates still looked the same. Barefoot, armed, angry. But behind them was a chain of tech, cash, and military coordination that stretched across borders. And now, they weren't just targeting ships. They were targeting systems, communications, economies, supply lines. And the US knew this wasn't going away on its own. A whisper came across comms. "We've got another one, south of Mogadishu. No AIS, moving fast, no response to hails." The screen blinked. Another skiff, another signature, another hunt. It was 2 a.m. No moon, no wind, no sound, a C-130. Hercules aircraft cut through the night sky, 15,000 feet above Somalia's desert, invisible to everything below. On board, 24 members of SEAL Team 6 sat in silence. No jokes, no chatter, just final gear checks and countdowns. Their mission? Rescue an American hostage dying of infection in a pirate stronghold. Before the sun rose. 30 miles north of Aden, Somali pirates had turned a desert compound into a fortress. Inside, Jessica Buchanan, a 32-year-old aid worker, lay weak, dehydrated, and losing kidney function. She had less than 2 weeks to live, and the pirates knew it. They were stalling for ransom. What they didn't know, the United States wasn't negotiating. With one sharp signal, the SEALs jumped from the plane, parachutes barely audible, in the thick night. They landed 2 miles from target. No lights, no beacons, just terrain and night vision. And the pirates? They were sleeping. High on cat, chewing the stimulant for hours, their guards had crashed out at their posts. The SEALs moved like wind over sand. No footsteps, no talking. Every step mapped, every angle checked. They breached the outer wall, using suppressed charges that didn't even wake a dog. 9 pirates, all neutralized. 0 gunshots heard outside the compound. The entire operation lasted 9 minutes. By the time the sun broke over the dunes, Buchanan and a Danish hostage were on a helicopter heading to Djibouti for medical evacuation. They were safe. The pirates, buried in silence, under the weight of a mission no one saw coming. No cameras, no leaks, no negotiations. Just elite American force. Precise, quiet, final. What the mission revealed was more disturbing than the rescue itself. These pirates weren't coastal anymore. They were inland, fortified, networked, operating safe houses, running crypto-based ransom transactions, protected by tribal militias with links to international arms markets. This wasn't just about ships. This was turning into a regional insurgency with pirate funding. And US Special Operations Command had just been given new orders. Next target is mobile. Satellite ping confirmed. Possible hostage. Authorization. Green light. The hunt wasn't over. It had just changed shape. March 2024. Less than 4 months after MV Central Park, another cargo ship vanished. MV Abdullah, a Bangladesh-flagged vessel, was cruising through international waters. Routine cargo run, no red flags. Then, within 5 minutes, its satellite comms went dead. Radio, silent, GPS, offline. Pirates had struck, but not just with guns. They had jammed the ship's entire electronic footprint, cutting it off from the outside world. It took 33 days to get the hostages back. By the time the ransom was paid, $5 million in crypto, it was clear. These weren't ragged coastal gangs anymore. They were moving like a fleet, and now they could operate with total blackout. That's when the US unveiled a weapon no one saw coming. During Operation Stingray, the Navy deployed something experimental, quiet, invisible, and devastating. The SLQ-32 electronic warfare system aboard the USS Mason didn't fire a missile. It didn't drop a bomb. It fired electromagnetic chaos, a wall of interference that wiped out every pirate signal within a 5 nautical mile radius. GPS? Gone. Radios? Fried. Satellite phones? Dead. Drone control signals? Vanished. The pirates tried to call for backup. Nothing. They reached for tracking systems. Blank screens. One even tried lighting a flare. The irony? Their weapons worked. But their world had gone blind. Within minutes, the Navy's boarding teams hit 2 skiffs without resistance. No one on shore even knew what happened until the pirates were zip-tied on deck, disarmed and dazed, asking what hit them. This wasn't just suppression, it was domination. For the first time, America's electronic warfare, developed to jam tanks and disrupt missiles, was used against pirate fleets. And it worked perfectly. But what made it terrifying was this. It didn't leave a mark. No wreckage, no injuries, just silence and surrender. A few weeks later, Pentagon sources confirmed the Navy was adapting EMP mini-systems, non-lethal, portable, and designed for low-intensity ocean warfare. This wasn't the future of conflict. It was the present. And Somali pirates had just learned the hard way. One of the captured pirates said something chilling through a translator. We thought we were alone out there. Then everything went dark. By the end of 2024, the numbers looked good on paper. Pirate attacks had dropped. 2 major rescue ops had succeeded. Intelligence had disrupted ransom flows. For the media, it was a win. But inside intelligence briefings, flags were going up. Satellite feeds showed unusual ship movements off the Horn of Africa. Motherships that turned off transponders just long enough to disappear. Drones were spotted again, faster, more agile, with encrypted signals traced to Iranian tech markets. Even Somali ports began to show signs of militarization. Old fishing docks refitted for speedboat launches. It wasn't random. It was a pattern. Every hijacking in the last year happened when US or allied destroyers were diverted toward Houthi missile threats in the Red Sea. While the world watched missile interceptions, pirate crews slipped through corridors left unguarded, timed to the minute. This wasn't luck. This was coordinated disruption. A strategy. One source at AFRICOM put it bluntly, they're not just stealing ships, they're probing weaknesses. These aren't pirates with a plan. These are pirates with a partner. The link was now undeniable. Houthis provide targeting intelligence and safe haven. Iranian tech moves through middlemen into pirate hands. Pirates generate revenue to feed proxy warfare in Yemen. Hybrid war, maritime terrorism, criminal insurgency, all rolled into one. And the pirates? They've learned to wait, to listen, to coordinate. They're no longer afraid of being hunted. They've adapted. Now the US Navy is no longer fighting pirates. It's managing a new battlefield. Every destroyer in the region now carries updated AI surveillance. EMP modules are being mounted on drones. Special ops teams have shifted training to desert extraction scenarios. But behind the tech and tactics, there's a silent truth. This fight isn't over. Because as one US admiral said behind closed doors, they're planning something bigger. They're testing us. And next time, it won't be 5 pirates in a skiff.